Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel, Ever Evolving Emily. It's been a hot minute since I've recorded anything, so without further ado, I guess here we go. I really want to dive in today and just talk about your internal dialogue. Your internal dialogue. I was having this conversation with someone I work with, and we were just discussing your internal dialogue and what you say to yourself and how much it really matters. So when I started, like I've touched on in other videos, how I started to flip a script, when I started to change many, many years ago in like 2012. But, this work is really never done. You keep doing it and you keep doing it. And the beauty of that is like now I've learned so much that I have so much more intentional power behind all of my internal dialogue. I have so much more intentional power behind manifesting and intentional manifesting versus just, like, I don't know, let's not be intentional and just like let chaos happen. So that being said, I really wanted to touch base on internal dialogue and how important it is, especially when you're establishing maybe new beliefs about yourself. So a while ago, I guess when I started to really look at, I don't believe anything happens by coincidence. So I had a lot of anxiety. How did some of this start to cross my path? I was on Pinterest a lot, and I didn't realize this, but I had a lot of anxiety about love. I had a lot of anxiety about love. I know I'm not alone in this department. But then it kind of like bled into other areas of my life. I actually realized and started to notice patterns that I didn't just have anxiety around love. I had anxiety around relationships. I had anxiety around money. I had a lot of hot and cold within myself, and a lot of hot and cold behavior that I would receive from people. So, and you can only connect the dots backwards. So as I started to do this, as I started to like really take a hard look at myself and a hard look at my life, which I just have never been afraid to do, when things maybe weren't working out for me, right? But everything's working out in your favor. Whether that's relationships with people or like up and down with money or like how I feel about my career and my life. I think something I really started to connect with was, what are these patterns that are happening? And I just have had this like deep, I've had this like wanting to understand and know why, like really wanting to know why. And can I control my emotions? Can I control like how I am responding to everything in the world, and reaction versus response is something I've talked about in a few of my videos. So, how am I actually responding? How am I responding to people? How am I responding to money? How am I responding to life in general? So it's really fascinating to me that like I'm connecting the dots backwards all the time, taking a beat to take a hardcore look at myself and how I am showing up in my life. A lot of that came from, I want so much more for myself, and I want things to be better for myself. And instead of being like, oh, why is this happening? Why is this happening? I stopped. And I said, what am I doing? How am I showing up? Not everybody's going to like that, but really like, what am I doing in my life? How am I showing up? Why am I experiencing these patterns, undesirable circumstances? Why am I experiencing all of that? So that being said, I think, similar to my yoga journey, I started going to yoga because I had an ailment, in my back and in my foot and my hip. So it was like this trifecta, and it was kind of like, enough is enough. I'm going to start to go to class. And the more I went to class, the more I changed from within. And then before I know it, my ailments were basically gone. And now that's something I need to revisit, is definitely like, hitting the mat more, and what you learn on the mat, you can take out into the world with you. So that being said, my manifesting journey, or like learning about manifesting, it may have started because of, an SP sitch. But really, it's never about your SP. It's not. It's about yourself. And I had that question too a long time ago. It's not, I was like, is it really about this person, or is this really about me? It's always about you. It's about you, and like how you view yourself. What is your belief system about yourself? So that's my point, definitely in this video is, your internal dialogue. So because when it comes down to it, I really wanted to take a hard look at myself. And as I have progressed and done the homework and spent time listening to content, I feel very strongly that this kept coming up for me. What are my belief systems about myself? What are my belief systems about men? What is my belief system about relationships? What is my belief system about money? How I receive money, work? There's just like everything. You could have a belief system kind of about everything, and it all ties in with your self-concept. So for me, like, I am focusing on shifting my self-concept as we speak. I feel I'm making progress. I feel really good about that. But there's a couple things I want to touch on, especially when it comes to shifting your internal dialogue. I posted this short where I mentioned that I basically will sometimes tell my my internal dialogue to kind of fuck off. And but I also do believe there's something to being gentle with yourself, being kind to yourself, understanding that you are trying to change years of pathways in your brain. So whether it's like, I'm not worthy, nobody ever chooses me, I'm not chosen, I never get the promotion, I never get the raise. I mean, there could be like, first of all, ick. I usually say that after I get like an ick factor after saying negative statements, because I've just literally detached from them greatly. And so now it is, I'm worthy, I'm deserving, I'm worthy and deserving of the life I'm creating. I'm worthy of the relationship I want and desire. I'm worthy and deserving of the money. I receive it now with thanks and gratitude. So, shifting this internal dialogue, and it takes time. It takes time. It takes effort. I know there's this, like quantum leap we can do, right? Where we can just literally shift into the person that we want to be and say no more, and like no longer identify with the old version of yourself. I do think that's great. I think also acknowledging your 3D as, this is just my 3D, and not responding to it is amazing. Like, if you can learn to do that, I'm actually working on that myself right now. This is just my 3D. Okay. When you decide to not give power to anything unless you decide to give power to something, I just got like kind of chills and goosebumps. But when you decide to do that, guess what? It's like you won. You won the game. You won because you are choosing what you give power to. You are choosing whether you give power to drama or toxicity or, I don't know, undesirable circumstances. You choose whether or not you give that power. And when you stop giving that power, like giving that power, and you decide what you want, you're taking your power back. When I am choosing my internal dialogue, okay? Basically, the way I feel about it is like, yes, I'm trying very much to just leap into the person that I want to be. Absolutely. But, I think being human means that sometimes doubt creeps in. Sometimes sadness creeps in. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to experience that. It's okay to just let yourself be without judgment. I've been giving myself a lot of kindness and grace lately. A lot of kindness and grace. I have a tendency to say, I'm not doing enough. God forbid I take a day off and actually rest. So I'm working a normal job right now. And so I was putting a lot of pressure on myself. I have to record. I've got to create content. I have to I want to start painting again. All of this internal dialogue was really weighing on me. And then finally, I kind of said enough is enough. I need a real break where I just take a couple days and just literally rest, let myself binge watch some TV. And I did. And I found it very healing to just disconnect and let it go, let things go. Because at the end of the day, I need to take care of myself. You need to take care of you. You need to be kind to yourself. Tell yourself you're doing a good job. And then it's just like, when I'm working on a painting, when I step away from the canvas, then I can come back to it with fresh ideas. I can come back to it with a fresh perspective. So I actually literally just, spring cleaned my room again. I love cleaning. And then I rearranged it a little bit. And I wasn't sure how I wanted to rearrange it, but I did it just like some minor changes. And I was in the middle of cleaning and I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. So I was like, I'm just going to go take a break. And I did. And then when I came back, I was like, okay, this is how we can piece things together for it to work. You're the creator. You're the creator of your reality. You're the creator of your space. You're the creator of your body. You are the creator. You're the operant power. You're the one in charge. You're the one in the driver's seat. So don't be afraid to step into that role and say, this is working, this isn't. So this is how we're going to, get things to flow better, get things to work better, or, this is how we're going to flip the script. So that being said, like your internal dialogue, the things that you say to yourself on loop are so, so fucking important. They are so important. Because if you're sitting there saying negative shit to yourself all day, I'm not good enough, I'm not doing a good enough job, if you're at work and you're saying negative things to yourself, if you're out in your life and you're saying negative things to yourself, I never have enough money. I'm always, you're actually living from a place of lack then. So I wanted to shift, and I'm doing it. I wanted to shift from living from a place of lack, because I was very guilty of it. Living from a place of lack when it has to do with time, money, relationships, people, my career, all of it, but it all stems from my belief system about myself. What is my belief system about money, relationships, people, men? What is my belief system? How do I value myself? What standards do I have when it comes to relationships and people? What standards do I have when it comes to money? What standards, so I'm taking a very hard look at myself right now, which has been excellent, actually. I like doing this shadow work, this type of work. When some of these old beliefs start to pop up, be gentle with yourself, be kind to yourself, be like, oh, it's just an old belief that has no power over me. This is a new story, I'm sticking to it. This is the new story, I'm sticking to it. Period. And you don't have to waver. You don't have to waver. This is the new story, I'm sticking to it. So I'm working, I'm really addressing what is my belief system right now. And so I'm going to give a perfect example, because I'm focusing on maybe 5 to 6 areas of my life, whether that's, love, money, myself. What are my belief system? What is my belief system and my self-concept? How I value myself, relationships, money, my career, and fitness and health. That's always going to be, at the top of my list. So my belief system and my self-concept in all of this regard, what is it? So I'm going to give a perfect example. I'm working definitely with money right now. So money is one of my favorite topics. And I have worked on manifesting money. And I'm going to share some flashbacks with that, with bringing money in from unexpected places. I have experienced money just thank you very much. I've just experienced money flowing to me before, but it wasn't consistent. And why was I, what is my struggle with money? What is my belief system around money? These are good questions. Why did I have it sometimes and then other times it's just gone? Why? So, I'm in a place where I no longer experience lack. This is what I'm telling myself. Where I always keep my head above water. In fact, I keep my head far above water financially. So some of the things and affirmations that I say to myself, and I do think there is something to doing the sleep affirmations with whatever you're working on in your life. Do the sleep affirmations, or at least feel it before you go to sleep at night. Feel abundance, feel love. I am healthy, I am well, I am perfect health, I am abundant. I have so much money in my bank account. I have so much money in my bank account that I can help those that I love. These are, and then be in that feeling state. But throughout the day, if you notice your mental dialogue, your internal dialogue is telling you the opposite, just say, okay, and we're going to shift it. We're going to shift it to money flows to me easily and effortlessly. Money flows to me in expected and unexpected ways. I receive it now with thanks and gratitude. I receive it now with thanks and gratitude. Money is already mine. It's already available to me. I always have enough. I always have more than enough. Everything is the perfect price for me. Everything is the perfect price for me. Everything is the perfect price for me. It is already mine. It's already mine. So, these are things such simple affirmations, but, we and talk about reaction versus response. We tend to think reaction versus response and stories when it comes, especially to manifesting your SP, telling yourself a different story with your SP. But really, what about the stories you tell yourself around money? If you want something and your mind immediately goes to, oh, I could never have that. That's so expensive. Oh, I can't have that. It's expensive. Oh, I don't know if I should buy it, or I don't know if I should invest in that. I don't know if I should take the trip. I don't know. If you're in this indecisiveness, what if you just don't tell yourself a story around it? What if you just say oh, that's the price. Okay. I'm not saying purchase it right away, but I'm just saying, what if you don't tell yourself a narrative around something? Because maybe you could say instead, that is mine. I'm not saying you purchase it right away, but maybe it goes on sale in a couple weeks and you're like, oh, see, that's mine. Or maybe you're like, that is mine, and you get $100 out of nowhere and you're like, see, now I have it to purchase that. You can play with it. You can have fun with it. One of the things I'm working on, is, and this came from This came from Rhonda Byrne, The Secret. Thank you paid. Thank you paid. Especially when you're dealing with, feeling maybe overwhelming feelings from bills. I've been there, or debt that you've accumulated. Stop beating yourself up. Just acknowledge it, and then start to say, okay, I have it. It's on its way to me. The check is in the mail. You have the creative ability within you to figure out the solution. Money can come from anywhere. It doesn't have to be from your one job that you're working. It can literally come out of anywhere. And I have experienced it, whether that's $5, $10, somebody buying me a cup of coffee unexpectedly, somebody, I've actually, not a lot, but I have won the lotto twice, like $500 twice. I did experience that in January, and I would like to experience it again. So experience that on a larger scale. So that being said, when you start to shift your mindset, and if your mind starts to like creep back in, our brain also really likes to try to protect us. Thank you. But again, you can say thanks, but no thanks. Thank you for trying to protect me. This is the new thought. The new thought is I'm worthy and deserving of the life I'm creating. Money flows to me easily and effortlessly. I have more than enough money. I have more than enough. All things are working out in my favor. I believe in myself. I'm chosen. I'm worthy. I'm deserving. I'm prosperous. Thank you very much. When you're asking for it, I feel like ask, believe, receive. And I have, listened to quite a bit of Neville Goddard at this point, and I have studied universal laws at this point. And I think, right, like instead of pleading and praying and being in a place of lack, I've been there, but no, this is already mine. The concept of it's already mine, it's done, that used to really throw me off because I couldn't feel it. And I believe like in many areas of my life, it really was because I had a lot of resistance, a lot of healing over relationships, healing over money, healing over all kinds of stuff. So, but I promise you, if you shift your mindset, you can have it. You can have it. I can have this. I can go on this trip. I am not afraid to travel. I can be in a relationship. I'm good at relationships. I do have the money. I have the money. The money's mine. It's already mine. My debt is paid. I'm building. So whatever it is that you're working on, it's okay to shift your mindset. So if you're experiencing a lot of negativity, just acknowledge it. Or you can be like me and you can tell it to fuck off. Thanks a lot. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks, but no thanks. I don't need that. I don't need that anymore. Give up what is no longer serving you, and see how your reality, the 3D, begins to bend in your favor, and feel gratitude. Like, just thank you. Thank you. So anyway, I trust this video helped you. Don't be afraid to look at your internal dialogue and what's really going on up here. Don't be afraid to look at it. In fact, I think, look at it and acknowledge it, and then start to say thanks, but no thanks. This is the new story and I'm sticking to it. This is a new story and I'm sticking to it. I trust this video helped you, and I wish you the most amazing day. Namaste.